Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this is another project for ScrapFX design team. I do apologise, I am yet again full of cold, although this time it is just a cold and not COVID, so that's something, isn't it? So this time I'm playing in the Dina Wakley small white journal. So this is the 6-inch square journal, and it's got really heavy white watercolour paper in it. I have added some clear gesso to the pages before I've started as well. So then the collage sheet that I'm using is one that I designed for ScrapFX, and it's called Rainbow Words. So here I'm going to be using the book standing up on its end, rather than, so I guess that's portrait, isn't it, rather than landscape. Yes, okay, come on Claire, get technical. I don't often work in it this way round, but this seemed to just work perfectly for this Christmas tree inspired page. So I'm just cutting out a long thin triangle shape. Basically this is going to be my tree, so it's a very stylized tree. I'm not getting too technical here, I just want that idea of the tree, and I felt that this collage paper would be perfect because it is nice and colourful. So that's going to get stuck in place right in the centre of the page. And before I start, I am just adding some sterling paint onto the background. Excuse me. These new brushes from Dina Wakley are really good for just spreading the paint around. They do hold a lot of water. You know, that's a really profound thing to say, isn't it? A paintbrush is great for spreading paint around. I think what I meant to say was they do hold a lot of paint and moisture in the brush part, so they are really great for using on this kind of substrate. So just be aware that if you do wash your brush in water, then it will hold a lot of that water and carry it onto your page, and you can end up with your page being quite wet. I hope I'm not just like stating the complete obvious here. I know what I'm trying to say. I feel like that might not have come out right. I'm going to blame my cold for that, but anyway, there we go. So while it was wet, I then went in with this leaf lines stencil and a baby wipe, and I am removing some paint through the stencil. So this only works in this journal if you've got gesso on your page, because the paper is quite thirsty, and also if you try to do this, then you will just end up lifting the paper pulp off the page. It makes quite a mess if you're not careful. So just adding some pattern onto my background to start off with, and it's kind of a really nice way to just get that background started, get some interest there, without starting to have to think too hard about which stencils you're going to use. And I really like this effect. I think it's very, very pretty. I have a feeling I will be using this stencil again. So once I'd done that, then gave it a really good dry. And then the next part I went on to was adding some stenciling. So I'm using the Vision stencil, and I'm pretty sure that is just a little bit of umber. And I'm just adding a little bit of text around the edges, and obviously there's no point working in the middle because that's where the tree is going to be, and lots of it will be hidden there, so I'm not worrying too much about what's going on in the centre of my page. So then this is Rosie, and I'm using the Circles Galore B stencil just to get some more pattern onto my page, and these metallic paints work really nicely together. So if you haven't had a play with these, then it's worth having a play, and they do smell really nice as well. Have a really nice fragrance to them. Okay, so now it's time to stick the tree in place. So I'm just using some matte medium, sticking this down right in the centre of my page. So one thing I have found with these Dina Wakley journals is sometimes they do crack on the spine if you try and open it too flat. And this journal has done that, so some of the pages have started pulling apart. So actually to do something like this, where you're sticking something over the spine at the centre of your journal, is a really great way to just strengthen those spines on these journals too. So hopefully this Christmas tree will serve to do that a little bit as well once it's nice and dry. So I'm just making sure it's stuck down really flat. I'm pushing it right into that spine bit as well there. And then that will get a good dry too before I move on to the next part. So obviously I do dry things before I go on to the next stage, but I just edit that out because I don't really think it's very interesting to sit and watch watch me wafting a heat tool around. So then I am now sticking on some chicken wire transparency, and I'm just sticking on like really thin pieces of this onto my tree, just because I wanted to bring a little bit more interest in some pattern. And I love the way that the light catches the transparency, so it does just bring a whole different dimension to the journal page, and I really think it looks so effective. And I'm sticking this down using some of Dina's ultra thick gel medium. I've never had any problems so far with pieces of transparency falling out of my journals, because once they dry, the gel medium dries clear and you can't see it at all. So this is a great way to stick transparencies into your journals. So you can see I'm just cutting out just some rough triangle shapes. I'm doing a right job picking them up as well. Yeah, so just adding a little splodge of that glue onto the back and then sticking it in place. So next I'm using a Stabilo oil pencil, and I'm just going to outline the tree, just to give that bit more definition around the edges. And then once I've done that, I am then just going to water activate that, just to set that pigment working. And I just love the way that that looks once it's water activated. It does look really effective. So you can see that just helps to highlight the edges, just makes them stand out a little bit more. This is just a water brush as well. I usually have a couple of these on the go. Quite a useful tool to have. If you've not got one, it's maybe worth getting hold of one, because they are quite a useful thing, particularly if you like using the Stabilo oil pencils. Okay, so then I was thinking that I was going to add some little circles to decorate, and I got my little single hole punch out, and I was going to just steal a couple of circles out of my box on the left, and I opened it up, and lo and behold, there were loads of little circles in there. So using my tweezers and fine tip applicator bottle with clear glue in, I am just faffing about, sticking lots of little circles in different colours onto my tree. So these are kind of just mimicking the lights, really, just making it look a bit more pretty. This was a bit of a faff, but I did like how it looked when it was finished, and I felt that it just added that sort of extra Christmas sparkle to the tree. And then once I'd finished with that, I didn't give it a dry because I don't want to melt the transparencies. I then went in with a white Posca pen and just added some little areas of white dots, again just to give the idea of lights on the tree. So next, because I felt the background was a little bit plain, I'm just going to go back in now with some matte medium and add some pieces of script collage paper. This is also from ScrapFX, and I'm just adding these onto the background, and again that just helps to break up the background a little bit, add a bit more interest there. And you know, this is something that you can go in and do after it. You don't have to do it as part of your background process making. You can add to it after if you feel it's just lacking a bit of something. These collage papers do melt very nicely into the page once you add the matte medium to stick them down. And again here I'm just adding another piece down at this bottom part, and you can see that's broken that up quite nicely. Okay, so now I'm using some lime paint and the numbers stamp, and I'm just adding a little bit of stamping onto my page as well. This doesn't show up brilliantly on camera, but it did just kind of pull the page together, giving it a little bit more of a Christmassy vibe with that green. Then I'd stamped the words onto some craft cardstock that I'd got left over, believe in the magic, and then that's just going to get stuck onto my page. So this page came together quite easily, really. It just shows, like, using these collage papers, it's a great way to create a focal point really quickly, especially in a Christmassy way. This rainbow words collage paper is perfect for making a really pretty Christmas tree. It would also work really nicely for baubles too. If you were to cut some circles out of it, that would also work really nicely. Yeah, so these words were stuck in place using my glue, just a glue stick, and that was it. That was this page finished. So happy Christmas, everybody. I hope you have a lovely Christmas wherever you are. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.